Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'd like to call regular meeting of council to order Monday, March 15th, 2021. Approval of the agenda, please. Councilor Norton.
That the Monday, March 15th, 2021 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Majinski. Favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of minutes, January 26, 2021, special council meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Majinski.
That the Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 special meeting of council minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Kirkowka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 3.2, February 22nd, 2021 budget minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury.
That the Monday, February 22nd, 2021 budget meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 3.3, March 1st, 2021 regular meeting of council minutes. Recommendation, Councilor Majinski.
That the Monday, March 1st, 2021 regular meeting of council minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Kirkowka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff? Thank you. No delegations this evening. Consent agenda recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury.
That all items in the Monday, March 8th, 2021 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councilor Howe. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any items, council, with the lift? Councilor Kirkowka.
Just a comment in section March 15. Just print March 8th consent agenda, that's up to March 15.
Thank you. Any items that anyone would like to lift? Councilor Majinski.
7.5.
Discussion. Seconder, Councilor Norbury. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councilor Majinski.
Yeah, I think we should provide a letter of support from council, in support of the geopark. Good report.
I agree. It's a little bit late, but I think it still will go a long ways. So make a motion that we direct staff to provide the Tumbler Ridge UNESCO Global Geopark with a letter of support in this regard. Seconder, Councilor Norbury, discussion. Councilor Howe.
Is it not past the deadline though? What's the point in making staff do work that's already past the deadline?
Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. So although we are past the deadline, NDIT works very well with letters of support, and in speaking with Ms. Maggs from the Geopark, she said even a letter after she feels could be submitted. So.
Okay.
Councilor Kirkowka.
Yeah, sorry, Your Worship. One thing there I meant to pull in out of my email and won't pull up. There was a picture attached in our email agenda. There's not one in the personal agenda that we have attached. And the picture is totally different than what they proposed in their last delegation of what that area will look like. And when they're asked for the support letter, they're saying the council agrees to the plan. So there was a picture in the email agenda that came out to us. We will pull it up. It was actually, I believe it's totally different than the last time they came in. Not sure if staff has time to pull that picture or that map, the design up. To me, it looked totally different than the last time they were here as a delegation.
Like space area and everything?
Yeah, just the way they had it laid out. I'm not sure if it seemed like it changed it. I'm not saying it's an issue, but it's all saying the council agrees with the concept.
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Your Worship. I didn't see the picture in our electronic agenda. Did the picture come from the Geopark or from staff here at Town Hall? Because to my knowledge, the proposal put in was on what council had already okayed. So, picture might not really.
Council,
Yeah, I can't find my email. So maybe I see it somewhere else, but I'm not saying it's gonna make a difference this letter, but maybe this time to reach out to the jail park and just ask them to supply their newest drawing back to council, or back to staff. I think.
Do that.
Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I looked in both of our PDF and HTML agendas and I couldn't find a map myself as well. That being said, I mean, I have no issue sending a letter of support to NDAT at this time. I understand we want to verify, may want to verify with the geopark, but I understand they've already presented the plans to us, right? So I see no reason why to hold it up this time.
I agree. And to my knowledge, I don't know of changes from what we've been presented, so yeah, I'm still supportive. Councilor Kirkhope.
Yeah, I'm in support. I just thought I'd raise that up. I mean, maybe it was somewhere else that's seen it. It looks like it has been. I'm not saying it has. To me, it's just something that maybe staff will reach out to get the drawings back for council.
Sure thing, yeah. Councilor Howe.
Yeah, I'm still not in support of the Geo-Interpretive Center, but I am in support of getting an NDIT grant for it, so I'll be voting in favor for it.
Okay. Call to question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Councilor Lehman, you're on the phone with us tonight?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. If you are not in support of a motion, please let it be known.
I will.
Thank you. Okay, any other items from the consent agenda, council? Okay, moving on to new business, 9.1, service review. Report dated March 8th, 2021 from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding service review and Dr. McIntosh's observations and strategic possibilities. Anyone from council like to discuss this report? Okay, I'll move for information. Seconder, please. Councilor Kirby. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.2, 40th anniversary. Report dated March 8th, 2021 from the Recreation Service Manager regarding the Volunteer Appreciation Barbecue and 40th anniversary community celebration. Anyone from council like to discuss this one? Councilor Krokowka.
I'd like to move for discussion.
Seconder, Councilor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councilor Krokowka.
Yeah, so I get the concept and appreciate what staff's trying to do. But I'm wondering in regards to drive-through barbecues and stuff, I know they've been doing it, but you know, to me, the 40th anniversary is fairly important in my eyes. And I understand we have COVID right now, but to me, I'd rather see us wait on celebrating. Either way to celebrate it late, maybe COVID restrictions are gonna come off a bit, and we can actually do something a little bit better for the 40th anniversary of the district of Cumberland. Like, I understand what their plans are here. I think we should direct staff to hold off maybe a little while, see if we see any restrictions coming off. Like, I think it was Monday they released, or sorry, last Friday, you can now have 10 people for a gathering outside. So I see you're starting to see some movement of them lessening those restrictions. And to me, I think it's more important to wait and see what happens there. That's just my thought.
Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I agree, and Councilor Kalka has a good point in celebrating Tumble Ridge's 40th birthday in a different manner. Well, what about the volunteer appreciation? I know Volunteer Month is upon us, and it is very important to still appreciate volunteers we have in our community. Yeah, I don't want to lose that scene either. So I'd still like to see the volunteer appreciation happen. I mean, this was more than just a barbecue. I mean, it was the guests and then the nominations from the organizations as well. So, I mean, that can be pushed off as well, but I think for that, I think the volunteers in the community expressed that barbecue was fine enough for their appreciation.
Councilor Krokowka.
Yeah, my apologies, Councilor. I thought the same thing. I'm not taking away the volunteer appreciation of it. And I think that can wait too. I think we need to show a little bit more when it comes to volunteer appreciation. It's pretty hard when a drive-through barbecue happens, you have a burger or a hot dog or whatever, staff your sides. Probably, small bag of gifts that talks about. To me, it's more personal if we can just hold off and see what these restrictions come out. Maybe again, we can hold them separate. I don't know about joining them. I think when it's the 40th anniversary, it's a big thing to this community. And even past residents of this community, maybe we can do something a little bit bigger and so those people will come back. I understand it's volunteer appreciation month coming up, but again, I think we can hold that off. Yeah, I mean, we've done it before in July or whatever for volunteers. Again, I'd just like to see us be able to do something in person, whether it's just the mayor that can attend or some counselors and actually be part of the volunteer thing, instead of just having staff do it drive-through. Just my opinion.
The comments? Yeah, I agree with you, Councillor Kurkelka. I think the 40th anniversary doesn't specifically need to be held in April here. I agree. I think it is a bigger deal. We can afford to wait later on in the year, hopefully, to celebrate in a bigger way. I know there has been some chatter on social media about former residents wanting to come back. I think maybe a little bit more prep time to plan for a little bigger event maybe in the fall. Hopefully we can make that happen without COVID restrictions. But I agree. I'm definitely in favor of pushing off the 40th anniversary. A little torn on the volunteer barbecue, to be honest. I really liked last year how it took a turn, or the nominations by each group for a volunteer of the year for each group was really well received. That extra recognition, I think, goes a long ways as well. So I'm still in favor of continuing. Councillor Mikulski?
When we discussed this prior, did we not have a decision on how much we were willing to put forward, like for either a dollar amount or how much cost staff time put into this? Because I think they had a couple options, and some of them were like having some FMX motocross guys come and do some jumping downtown and all this other crazy stuff. And there's dollars attached to that, and having a big outdoor event. I know that was talked about, and that got scrapped right away. It's just whether how much more money do we want to put towards, this appreciation, and maybe we have to give a bit better direction to staff that we're saying, oh, we're going to hold off now and then go forward later on with a bigger event like the fireworks or whatever, right? Because I'm sure staff have a lot of good ideas, but we maybe kind of constricted those a bit from them. So it'd be interesting to know if we should give them a bit better direction going forward, and give them a bit more prep time for the fall.
Ms. Thompson, is there a budget slated for these two items?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. At this time, the money that is currently in the operational budget is what will be allocated to these events.
Councillor Kurkelka?
Yeah, so the reason I talk about the 40th anniversary and then the volunteer, it's wasn't in favor of the volunteer thing, but you read the background and the staff, and this is just one of their quotes, because we're unable to gather is the department's recommendation that the event be promoted as volunteer month instead of volunteer appreciation event, which allowed us to recognize each volunteer group and or organization. So to me, they're talking about not doing what the two of you, the Councilor Overberry and the worship are talking about, having that, the groups nominate individuals and stuff like that. That to me it sounds like, let's not do that because it's COVID. It's going to do a drive-through barbecue. So that's why I'm saying maybe it is worth holding off the volunteer, so that we can do that each recognition to the organizations and have them pick those people again. The way I see it in the background, it's something they are not going to do it this time. It's just going to be a drive-through barbecue.
Ms. Thompson, are you able to clarify what's planned?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand, through council. At this time, I don't have any further detail on what had been planned. Staff has not allocated a whole lot of time to this. This was supposed to be at our TPC meeting to have further discussion on to get direction from council.
Great, thank you. Councillor Lehman?
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's a good idea to delay both the volunteer appreciation and the 40th anniversary, but the thing, I think we need to let people know that it is being delayed, but not canceled. And I think maybe towards the latter part of the summer, when maybe some of the COVID restrictions are hopefully going to be lifted. But I think we need to make sure that people are aware that, you know, it's not being canceled, it's just delayed, and I think people will understand.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. So Councillor Tucker read from the report from us, and it said there is a barbecue date plan, right? I think it's still important to have these events happen. I enjoyed the last drive-through barbecue. I threw the wife and the baby in, and we went down, and other people I talked to, they enjoyed it as well. So I think we should still be trying to have some semblance of normalcy during COVID. Ideally, July, August, September, it's all good. We're back out and we're having these events. I'm a little skeptical. And I mean, if we do choose to not host the drive-through barbecue, I'd hope we would set a date to relook at this versus it just falling off the table, because it is a very important.
Councillor Kukalka?
Yeah, and I totally agree with Councilor Berry, makes sense as well. To me, maybe the direction should be to staff is to bring it back at the end of April, beginning of May, and we'll, or sooner if the restrictions start to get old. We might, I mean, we're talking March, I mean, their suggestion is April 24th. I'm not saying by April 5th it'll be all pulled down, but we don't know. I mean, it just seems to change every day on their side, and I understand it does because of what's happening within the society in regards to COVID, pandemic. It can all change by then. I just think, I get the drive-through barbecue, but I mean, to me, I think it takes away from what our volunteers have done. Besides just driving through there with their vehicle and getting a burger. This is my personal opinion on the amount of volunteers we have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree with you, and it is a concern, but the drive-through barbecue isn't the only thing. There is extra recognition for each group, and each group has that opportunity to as volunteer of the year. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we delay. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I just wanted to say that I like what the staff has come up with. This has been a unique year. I don't think groups have been functioning the way they usually do. People are kind of used to what's happening with COVID, and we can say that things are going to loosen up, but maybe they won't. I think they've come up with some great ideas. We still have the drive-through barbecue. We recognize, like we do, and if we can do a little bit extra as council, we can do that. But I think the ideas are good, and I'd vote to do what they've put it forward in the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? I'll make a motion that we delay the 40th anniversary celebration. Seconder, Councillor Howe. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Councillor Kukalka.
I'll put a motion that we delay the volunteer drive-through barbecue with it coming back from staff in mid-April.
Seconder, Councillor Howe. Discussion? Councillor Norbury.
I still think we should try and go with it, so I'm going to be voting in opposition to that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kukalka.
Yeah, and I'll be voting in favor, and the reason I say it is in the background information from staff, it talks about it being for the volunteer month, not for volunteer appreciation. It's again in there, it states in regards to, it doesn't sound like we'll be having groups nominate their top volunteer of the year and such. So I think we lose that touch for what those volunteers have done in those organizations to be able to nominate one or two people from an organization in the background information from staff.
Okay. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Is it possible that we add in, to alleviate Councillor Kukalka's concerns about not having the associations nominate the volunteers, so add that into the appreciation month? That doesn't seem like it's an unreasonable.
Nope. No, certainly, and depending on how this motion goes, we can certainly add that after. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Defeated, thank you. Councillor Norbury, did you want to make a motion? Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. As a part of National Volunteer Month, we continue with the nomination of Volunteer of the Year and appreciation of
Outstanding.
outstanding volunteers for each organization.
Seconder, Councillor Kirby. Discussion, Councillor Kauka.
So my question would be back to staff, if this is gonna be enough time for them to reach out to every volunteer organization to make sure that they are involved in it. A lot of organizations right now due to COVID aren't even having meetings. That's why I brought that forward when I seen staff taking that off the list, like other groups aren't even having them in some of their groups, so. I'd just be curious if staff knows that they can have that done on regards to movement.
There's 5 weeks lead time, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Staff would be able to accommodate the volunteer month activities as they have in the past. They would be able to manage it.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.3, extension of arena use. A report dated March 8th, 2021 from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure. With costs to keep ice in place for an extended period to accommodate the late minor hockey season. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
For discussion.
Seconder. Councillor Kirkauka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Honestly, I'm pretty even on this report. Thank you for staff for getting this together. It is great to see the information and the cost breakdown. Yeah, I've spoke with a few members of minor hockey, and from what I understand, they're not continuing this year. Continuing past March. That is one major user group that I would hope that would be able to use this if we kept it in. But if anybody knows of anything else, definitely keep it in. From what I understand, their minor hockey would be interested if there were caps or gaming.
Councillor Majinski.
This would be a good trial year to try this. I'm definitely in favor of this. If we could get 1 or 2 hockey camps from within the region, I think this would be beneficial, showing how much money it potentially could bring in, and if we could do it during the summer or even during our lulls of the season, like when it's spring and there's not much for hiking, there's no snowmobiling, and like pretty much from now on and for next month or so, and then same with the fall when there's not much going on, there's not a big snow pack, there's not much going on. And to see if we do get some interest in some groups coming in, this would be a good year to try it out.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Councillor Howe?
So I'm a big user of the arena. My family and I use the arena 4 to 5 times a week, sometimes maybe even more. When I looked at the costs of this report, and also minor hockey is done right now, but through speaking with a few of the coaches that I've had a chance to talk to, they weren't sure that the ice was going to be out, and they just decided to stick with their original plan of ending sometime before the end of March. There is a coach that I've spoke to that he hopes that they can get games in, whether it's in Tumbler Ridge or somewhere else, if restrictions lift. But I was prepared tonight to put a recommendation on the floor that we look at keeping the ice in to the end of April. And the idea being there is it gives staff a month to try this out, have a better understanding of the costs associated with leaving the ice in, have a little better understanding of the humidity that we may experience in April. And there is still the possibility that restrictions could be lifted, by April, that we may have an opportunity to have things like adult hockey allowed again. Our old timers league has not been able to participate since November. So another thing to this is it doesn't overlap with our pool shutdown. If we were to keep it open for the month of April, where the pool shutdown starts March 28th, there is some overlap of shutting the rink down and the pool at the same time. So there could possibly be staffing issues at that point. If we waited till the end of April, we won't have that. The other issue is that we still have ice passes, unused ice passes that are out there. So people that have applied for ice passes for the unused ice that they booked for months in advance or whatever, we would then have to refund credits to those people. But I called down today to ask staff about if there were outstanding ice, and there's people actually buying the unused ice passes today. So my thought of if council wants to go ahead, that might be something to look at. We just run to the end of April. And the only thing that I didn't see included in this report is the unused ice times that the rink is utilized. So that is not a part of the amount of hours used, and I know that was extensively used this year by quite a few groups. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Majinski?
I would like to see the ice stay in for the entire year, just so we save on the cost of potentially $7,900 in ice removal. And then we have to still pay for the install, and if we do have to pay the higher rates in keeping the ice cool, it might not be a huge expense, opposed to, because you take that out of the cost of the install and removal, it might be $5,000 or $7,000 of heating expenses. But if we can bring in some camps during the summer months, then it might be worth it and get some exposure out there for whether it's Alberta or northern BC or southern BC of Prince George brings camps up here for a weekend or even a week-long training camp. So I think it might be worthwhile.
Councilor Howell?
What about the idea of in the short term, if we said, we were comfortable keeping it until the end of April, and then, we had staff reach out to some places to see if there is anybody wanting to put camps on. I know like Chetwynd isn't even renting ice this year. You can't rent it out there, so there are lots of kids from Chetwynd are coming to Tumbler Ridge to play out here. So if we give a month, this is 6 weeks notice, so we can give this to staff to get some people out and say, hey, we're interested. If you're willing to come in and you're willing to do a week camp or do a training camp or a female development camp or something along those lines, that are options that are in the north right now. We've got 6 weeks to try to get that message out. And if we don't get any takers on it, then we take it out at the end of April rather than keeping it in through the summer.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Kirkhalka?
Yeah, I guess my question, I don't have an issue with the end of April or that, but my concern or my question about staff would be the wear and tear on the equipment. Normally it's shut down for a certain amount of time, one is probably for regular maintenance. So I'm just wondering from staff side what they see on that. If April works and then all of a sudden we realize we have a huge increase of people wanting maybe to do camps like Councilor Majinski just said stuff, what's the looks of that?
Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand, through council. So you're wondering about the wear and tear on the equipment, like if we would keep it going throughout the whole season. So staff does do regular maintenance on everything, and we don't know what the effect is, but we do maintain our equipment. It would just work longer. It would have to run longer during the summer months because of the keeping everything cooler. So we don't know, but I think we're confident enough that our system is in good repair that we shouldn't have any issues with it.
Councilor?
So I guess my other question with that would be in regards to keeping it open, possibly having camps or whatever. Is all the seating in that in place in the rec center, in the arena? That'd be my other concern. Like people coming up for camps, I know as restrictions were lifted in Alberta and even some of the restrictions here, you're allowed so many parenting and stuff like that. All the seating installed in the community center that we all looked at.
I believe so. Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I believe that all the project is complete with all the individual seating. That is all installed.
Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I do like the idea of a trial run, so to speak, of the end of April. But for myself, a lot of this needs to be contingent on that if we can get camps, if we can get usage. But that aside, we are seeing restrictions ease up. I know the numbers this last year aren't comparable to last year, but that doesn't matter. We still need to have a level of service in our community. And I want that to be high for our residents. So I'd like to give it that end of April trial run to see if we can get some camps or some other activities. And we will see if restrictions ease up more and we can get the old timers back in there and more public skate happening. So I'd be in favor of that one.
Councilor Howell?
Put a motion on the floor that council directs staff to maintain the arena ice until the end of April.
Seconder, Councillor Kirkowka. Any more discussion? Councillor Kirby?
Mayor Bertrand, will staff be keeping account or records of what the usage will be through those months, like an impact study, so that we can determine whether it's beneficial? And then, I also like Councillor Majinski's idea of keeping it open for the summer, but then we have to market it too as a draw in. And so maybe something to think of for next year is that if we're gonna do that, then we plan ahead by promoting camps, and then just even for this April, spring break could have also been advertised that they'll be open, and then going on into April as well for Easter, that the rink will be open, etc.
Thank you. Councillor Howe?
Yeah, so the one month will give us an opportunity, or actually 6 weeks now, staff has to see if they can get anything beyond of April. We may not get great usage during April, but we will learn a little bit more about our plant and humidity issues and actual costs and stuff on it. But we have in the past been approached by camps to open up in August, and we set direction for staff to open up weeks earlier than what we had in the past, because we had somebody come in and say they wanted to go ahead with it. I think if we get that information out to the public, even if we did take the ice out at the end of April, if somebody approached us and said, geez, we'd like to do a camp in August, we know that there's an additional cost to get that refrigeration company to come in first, but a lot of time that outweighs it. We got a lot of people in the community last, I think we had something in the neighborhood of 100 families or something, or 100 participants, their families coming in. So that's quite a good spin-off for getting the ice. And they rent the ice, they pay for it as well, right? It's not given away to them, right? So to me, I think end of April gives them 6 weeks to see if we can rattle anything up. And if we don't, then maybe we look at it as more of a long-term thing down the road. But if it has to go in early in August, we can probably do that as well, even if the ice does come out. So.
Okay, thank you. More comment? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.4. Councillor Majinski.
Yes, I'd like to step up for this discussion, as I may have pecuniary interest in the vinyl wrap of commercial bins within the district of Ridge, because my business is that industry.
Okay, thank you. Point 4, commercial bin vinyl wrap, a report dated March 15th, 2021 from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure with information on wrapping of commercial bins, bare bins, and electrical transformer kiosks that are in the most visible areas of the downtown core. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
For discussion?
Seconder, Councillor Kirkowka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Kirkowka.
Yeah, so I actually didn't get into talk to Ms. Thompson, so my apologies to council, but my question would be, I see we budgeted $125,000 in 2020, and part of that would have been the $38,000 approximate cost to do these bids. Did we have a cost of what we budgeted for the wrap of the vehicle? The district vehicle that's used by council and staff?
Just over 5,000. Ms. Thompson, is that correct?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. So the vehicle wrap was just over 5,000, but the proposal, the recommendation from staff is for 125 and council approved 38. So once the project got off the ground, it was higher than 38 that had been allocated in budget. So
Right, from what I, thank you. From what I remember, yeah, it was, the 120 was for all around town. The 38 was from downtown, just downtown. Councillor?
Yeah, that's what I thought, my apologies in the question. So was the vehicle quoted into the $38,000 that we doing the bins, or was that quoted separately for the vehicle?
Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. That, I am not aware of the full details of the quote and what was in that budget, but I will pass it over to Director Beal and he can respond to that.
Thank you.
Beal?
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Your Worship, Council. The vehicle was part of the original tender that went out for the bins. The vehicle was part of the tender. When the tender came in over budget, I we did the RFQ for the vehicle. So it became separate after the original.
Thank you. Councillor Norbert,
And that's
Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Member Trent. I know that in the past, we've re-tendered these issues. The sidewalk downtown is a perfect example. Did we put that out for tender again after the first one failed?
I'm not aware, Ms. Thompson. I don't think we have tendered it yet, no. Nothing on downtown, no. No, we're still in concept phases right now. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Member Trent. With the confused looks, obviously, I'm getting the RFQ and RFPs a little twisted there. But I'm still in support that we should be continuing with this vinyl wrap downtown project. Just coming up with the cost that's where,
Councillor Kirkelka.
I'm gonna put the alternative recommendation on for the council approves capital expenditures of $62,000 vinyl wrap, 22 commercial waste bins, 16 single bag bear bins, and 9 BC electrical transformers.
Seconder. I'll second it. Discussion. Councillor Howell.
Just the one thing about the electrical transformers, do we have permission from BC Hydro to put stickers over top of those?
I do not. Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'll have Director Beal respond to that. Director Beal?
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, Your Worship Council. So I've had discussions last year in regards to the transformers with BC Hydro, and they were acceptable to the fact that we were beautifying our downtown core and we're interested in the vinyl project. They actually had a grant program last year that we applied for, and they awarded at $700 per unit. Unfortunately, we didn't get the contract, so that grant is no longer available this year. But I'm more certain that the discussion in regards to wrapping would still go forward. There are some there that they need to refurbish, which was part of the discussions.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirkelka.
Yeah, so I put it on the floor just because I get that we bring it for discussion, but that we discuss and put motions over non-motions, so that's why I put it on the floor. So my concern with the amount again, and it's something we gotta change. You know, I understand that council needs to see this amount, but I don't think it should, just like Fort St. John did, it's X. I mean, by putting amounts out there, we're already telling you what to bid. Right, bid 62 grand, you got it. Again, I think we need to look at that from our side, on everything that we're setting out, instead of putting an amount there, we should have access, whether council's agenda should have it, but we're telling people what to bid. And, I mean, why wouldn't you bid that? So that's my concern when we put that out there. I mean, I understand they went out last year and got a quote from a company out of Fort St. John, and I believe that's probably where staff's basing it off of, and I get it, but I mean, we're also telling people personally what to do. And I guess the other question is, or comment I'll make is, Mr. Field already mentioned in regards to some of the BC Hydro bogs. So I would just say the same thing about garbage cans. If there is something that needs to be replaced, if this passed through council, that we make sure it's a new bin that goes into place because the ones need to be replaced before the wrap goes on them, and then we're not wrapping a bin next year because we missed one. So that'd be from BC Hydro side as well.
Councillor Howell.
And I'm actually uncomfortable with the cost of the entire project. $62,000 to wrap this stuff to beautify the downtown core. I think that money could be better spent towards. We've talked a lot about sidewalk revitalization in the downtown core. And that's going to be a hefty bill. $60,000 would put a good chunk into that. It's nearly double what we budgeted for. That's a lot of money. To me, I'm not comfortable of getting everything done all at once. Perhaps you try a few. I'm also concerned about ongoing maintenance costs. But these things in the wintertime, I've seen people in Tumbler Ridge when they paint their doors, if they don't use the right paint, it chips off when we get 30, 40 below weather. I'm concerned about how these will be durable to a bin that's picked up by our truck and lifted upside down in 40 below weather and dumped, and the oil lines get connected to the bins and hydraulic lines definitely concerned about doing it all as one lump sum. Perhaps if we stuck to our original budget and got less bins done, that'd be more acceptable to it. But for the motion that's on the floor right now, I can't vote in favor of it at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I am not in favor of this motion as presented as well. I thought $38,000 was high. Maybe there's other options like painting. You know, I just can't go for $38,000 either. And I think I would rather see this deferred and look into other options for beautifying these bins and maybe just knocking it down to half of what we were thinking of doing, just something in the downtown core, because I really don't think the 22 commercial bins are something that I've kind of fallen off of the favor side of that one.
Councillor Lehman?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm not in favor of this. I think it's a lot of money. I can see maybe doing some electrical transformers and maybe some bare bins, but to do commercial bins, I'm definitely not in favor of that. I think there's other options that we can look at that are not as costly, so I will be voting against.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Norby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Yeah, looking at the budget, I mean, I agree that we need to we want to beautify our downtown core, and that is a priority. Myself, and I think all of council. But if we're looking for that low-hanging fruit, I think we could potentially knock the 22 commercial bins off. You know, it's a lot of vinyl. And probably the items that are going to see the most wear and tear with, you know, being picked up and what have you, right? People smacking whatever against it and stuff. So that could be an easy reduction, I think. I would definitely be in favor of everything but the commercial bins.
Okay, thank you. I've grown to not be in favor of this. It is a large cost, and I don't like the fact that it's only going to last 7 years, so we're going to be spending $60,000 every 7 years. It's I think we can definitely find a different option as well. Councillor Kirkcalka.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. And that was going to be my comment in regards to 7 year, 5 year, 7 year. I believe our vehicle is supposed to be probably 5 years. Again, that's why I threw the motion out, so we understand that we're looking at $62,000 for every 5 years or every 7 years, 6 years. To me, I think it's worth it all. Not even doing partial of these bids. For the same concept, even if you take off some of the bids like Councilor Norbert has said, again, it's every 5 to 7 years. There's got to be a different option. We're not doing them at all. I mean, I'll be honest, I think what staff's done in regards to what bids they buy, they don't look that bad. So this was something we put on for 38 grand, and then when you see it come back from other contractor bidding on it, and staff bring it back forward, and that's approximately every 5 to 7 years. It's a lot of money that Councillor I'll mention in regards to sidewalks downtown. It could be a good chunk of change in there, getting sidewalks replaced at $63,000 or $62,000 every 5 years.
Any other comments? Councillor Norby?
Not on this motion, actually. I'll please on that.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Defeated. Thank you. Councillor Norby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I mean, with this discussion here and now, what's the thought about trying to reach out to local artists and artisans to see if they'd be willing and interested to paint these for us?
Possible. I know material on there is difficult for paint to stick, but it's certainly possible. Councillor Howe?
I think there's an electrical transformer in town in front of the RCMP building, if I'm not mistaken, that has a waterfall and a dinosaur or something on it there. So, I mean, it can be done. It's a possibility.
That's right, yeah. Councillor Norby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. And at least the electrical transformers.
Okay.
Maybe at least the electrical transformers. You know, I mean, the bare bins, they look pretty fine, right? It's not dinged up or anything, but maybe at least the electrical transformers. You get them turned off for them before they get out there and paint on it, but yeah, maybe bring a little bit of life.
Okay. We finished talking about vinyl wrapping. Councillor Majinski can come back. you want to put forward? Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Member Bertrand. I'd like to make a motion that staff prepare a report on potential local artists painting the 9 electrical transformers in Tumblr.
Seconder. Councilor Majinski, discussion? Councilor Kirkowka.
Yeah, I guess just my concern again, I would like to know what the maintenance is gonna come back to, or how often we have to pay them. Like, I mean, I know this one's already started to chip as well. That's my concern. I mean, we talked about in the previous discussion about the other motion. Again, general maintenance, and how often we have to do it.
Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. That's sort of why I asked for a report versus just go out and do it. Because, I mean, we're still gonna have to, in my opinion, buy the paint for these artisans, or there might be an honorarium cost for this, right? So getting that information back, I think will determine our going forward.
Councilor Majinski.
Concern I have with painting is you can't go back to original, so if you do a power box or a garbage can and painting on a powder coated surface, you have to do a one as well. But I definitely encourage you to be able to do it.
Any other comments? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Sorry, Ms. Thompson, did you want to comment?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I was actually going to have Director Beal respond with a little bit of information.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, Your Worship, Mayor, Council. Just be aware that BC Hydro has specific specifications for anything that's done on their electrical transformers. The transformers, it's not actually, it's BC Hydro or BC TELUS. Now I just ate myself. So that is a TELUS kiosk that's in front. So BC Hydro has very specific restrictions and specifications for there. So that would have to be hammered out prior to approaching any use.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Majinski.
Yeah, there is, of course, anywhere near those boxes.
Okay. Moving on to 9.5, Seniors Housing Assessment Study, dated March 15, 2021. The Director of Corporate Services with information relative to Humber Ridge Seniors Housing Assessment. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury.
For discussion?
Seconder. Councilor Kirkowka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Bertrand. This is quite the report. What I love about the reports we get is when they have actual objectives for us to accomplish. Really, and the recommendations on page 22, or page 23. All of these suggestions are an absolute need for our seniors community. Hearing how many people currently and in the future are concerned about their ability to get around in their homes is a large concern, and seeing these options that we can apply for our residents, potentially get improve their mobility in their home, I think is invaluable. We need to get somebody on. I know there's definitely some organizations and groups out there that can do that for us, so I think we should be reaching out to them to see if we can lean on their expertise and experience at navigating electronic forms and seniors assistance. There are organizations out there.
Absolutely. Councilor Kirkowka.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple things. Eventually, I'd like to make a motion, but this came forward. Councilor Howe is up to the chair of the Mayor's Task Force. So we'll discuss there first, brought back to council to look at doing something this. And obviously, the support of my council is done. So eventually, I'd like to do a motion that we allow this to go to the Mayor's Task Force so they can see it. So they have not seen it yet. Anybody that's on there, so Dr. Holland or Tom, has not seen this report yet. So I think it's viable that we let them have a gander through it. One other thing I was going to mention, and Councilor Norbury has already mentioned a few things in regards to page 22 and 23. So this is on page 23. And last meeting we did grant dates one of the grant needs was to Forever Young Society. This might be something we ask staff also to reach out to them to see if it's within their capability. Maybe instead of a grant need going forward, we do a fee for service. But it would be the seniors daily check-in service. So I know Forever Young, can't speak for them, but I know they have a coordinator that's a paid position. It just means that we might have to increase, instead of a grant need amount, we might have to increase that amount of it so they have more working hours. And they might be able to take that one task on and fairly quick. Which to me, when I read through the report, I read more of that than I did most of the agenda, but that's a big ticket item right there, is making people feel safe. Families that don't live in this community, that have their moms and dads living here, know that someone's checking in on them, phoning and making sure they're, whatever it may be. So might be looking at, maybe we should put a motion for have them reach out to Forever Young. I think it was a good report, there's lots to it.
Yep, excellent report, absolutely. Any other comments? Councillor Kirkowka.
I'm gonna put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to make this report available to all individuals sitting on the Mayor's Health Task Force.
I don't know if it's really necessary, to be honest. It's an open report, public report now. I don't think we need a motion to send it over there. I think you as a chair can certainly bring it forward. I don't think we need a motion.
Going to a second, or are we gonna debate it first?
What I'm saying is I don't think it's needed. It's a public report. I think you as the chair can take it to task force now. Certainly. Councillor,
Okay, I'll put a different motion on the floor.
please.
Put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to make enough copies for the Mayor's Health Task Force.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Majinski. Discussion, Councillor Norbury.
I'd like to make an amendment to that. If we're going to be making all these copies, let's get one for the Building Healthy Communities Task Force as well. Sorry, Building Healthy Communities Committee. Working through that.
Seconder on the amendment. Councillor Kirkowka. Discussion on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Discussion on the amended motion. All in favor of the amended motion? Carried. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Kirkowka.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Yep.
So on the same scenario, do we need a motion to direct staff to get in contact with Forever Young? To see if they would be able to take over one of the items on this list?
Yep.
So I make a motion that we ask staff to contact Forever Young Society to see if they would be able to take over the daily check-in service and what the cost would be.
Councillor Howe. Discussion. Councillor Howe.
I think it's important that staff make sure that they know the will of council here, that we're willing to support the senior group looking at this financially. We're willing to give them more money to conduct this this service. This, like I said, this is a low-hanging fruit. We can knock one right off the list, which in municipal government never happens quickly, but this looks like we're going to make this one happen quickly. But I think it's important that they know that we support it. And I also think it's a great idea, or a great way, for them to reach out to other seniors in the community to let them know that they have this area where seniors can go to. Maybe there's not a lot of seniors that even know about it. I don't know how they go about getting this seniors list, that you contact all these people on this list, but to me, it'd be a great way for them just to get more members for their Forever Young Society as well, by reaching out to people consistently. So I think it's a fantastic idea.
Councillor Majinski.
I think it'd be a great idea to hear back from all of these committees as well, to see what their ideas would be as well, and bring it back to staff as well, to bring forward to us. Because there might be some things that we're missing, and they may have another angle on it as well. So.
After the opportunity for them to read this report as well, I think in this report it has a lot of opportunities for not just the Forever Young Society, but also other services or potential entrepreneurs as well. Councillor Howe?
And just not to knock what you guys are saying, I don't want to bog them down by saying, hey, read through this 300-page report and get back to us and tell us what you think about it. We're actually setting a direction for them to say, hey, listen, we're willing to give you guys more money for your Forever Young Society. All we're asking you to do is take this thing off of our list for us. That's the whole point of a fee for service. and if they want to read through the report and get better insights so they can do better things with their group, fantastic, but this is a specific ask the council has of them, and I think we should just try not to muddy the waters by just putting too much stuff in there. Start with one thing, let's get that thing kicked off the list, and then move on.
Good. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. So we've given specific direction for the low, for the seniors check-in. How do we get these other items on our radar? I understand we do have a strategic plan. We all agree on that strategic plan. I don't think we should be just throwing more things in to prevent that from happening, but
I have to, I'm of the thoughts that we have forgotten about our strategic plan for the last 3 weeks, but anyways, Councilor Norbury.
well, here we go. It's in my mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good,
It's in my mind. It's on my top of my wit.
Good.
But I guess this is more of the staff and what's their opinion on how we can get these things going. Like, and maybe it's to all of council as well. It's just a conversation, right? Should we get our committees involved? Let's kick it out to them. See if they have some ideas. We can take this on and go from there. But all of these recommendations are very important, especially when they're talking about the 5-year outlook for a lot of these seniors. We got to start now so they can stay here.
We could possibly add it as a discussion item for our upcoming Let's Talk meeting, possibly. That's an opportunity to ask the public of what they thought about it and what's priorities for them as well. I'm very hesitant to add any more to staff's plate at this point. Councillor Kirkowka?
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you there, Worship. And I think by having, like, whether it's Mayor's House Task Force or the building communities, going through some of this, they might come up with some things maybe we won't think of. Whether it's, we can reach out to these individuals, they'll be able to take care of this and this for council if they wish. Comes back to that committee, hey, listen, we actually nailed these two down. Maybe there's some funds that are needed to take it off council plate, but also staff's. And have to come back and it's not to be done, or, whether it's somebody comes in this community and wants to build a senior facility, we have lots of that information.
Absolutely. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I think you're correct. I know with the Building Healthy Communities Committee, I saw some of these and like, this is something we could try and potentially jump into. But I mean, the majority of those people are all full-time, full-time jobs, right? It's hard to get that, but I mean, at least take it and see what their ideas are. So, Councillor Lehman, you're on the phone. You can look after that for us. That's bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. This was a good report, and it gives us a lot of information on where we have to go in the future to help the seniors. And when you're looking at all the their things that need repairing around the home that they can't afford to do, or they just aren't capable because it's a single female over 75 or a male. It was in our one of our packages from PRRD is that the transfer stations have a place called the Repair Cafe. So you get people who are good or handy to come down and fix things, or they give a space where someone can work on stuff. So, I mean, if we had a seniors list that said, this is what we need done, our community is very helpful. And I'm sure there's money out there for grants, but if we could have a place where people can help with certain things, if there's a list of what people need, I think we can start looking at what we can actually do. So, this is a great report, but it needs to be put on a PMP to really discuss, and it needs to be taken to our committees.
Agree. Councillor Howe?
So this was initiated by the Mayor's Health Task Force that I sat on about a year and a half ago. And the intention of this was to find ways to support population aging in place and the health support services, identifying health support services available. This came specifically from Dr. Helm, who brought it to the committee. We discussed it, and the main reason behind having this is that we then had a framework that we could then decide where are we going to go with seniors' needs in the community? Not so much as we need to help seniors repair stuff, we need to do a call-in check-in service. Those are fantastic ideas that came out of this that we're going to take a run at, but this needs to go right back to the Mayor's Health Task Committee, and they need to say, hey, we've got, the information is done, you've got the report, what do we do with the information we have now to try to expand the services in the community? The whole thought process around this was, do we have a need in the community? Is there enough people in the community to support assisted living, some type of care aids where they go around house to house? Can we show people that there's a business here that they can take on? That was the kind of the intention of behind this report. So to me, this report immediately has to go back to that health committee. They need to look at it, review it, and say, now what can we do with that to prove up or make a business case for something in the community that we can chase the government for federal funding on. That was the whole intention of this. There are some low-hanging fruit that us as a community can absolutely pick off here, but there is a great big, way bigger picture idea behind this report, and that needs to go back to that health committee, specifically Dr. Charles Helm, so he can continue with the vision that he had on this report.
Absolutely. Any other comments? Okay, I think we've dealt with all the motions, right? Yep. Okay. 6. Administration report. Report dated March 15th, 2021 from the Chief Administrative Officer with update on operational matters. Recommendation, please. Councillor Krauka.
Discussion.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Krauka.
There's only the one on there, and that's the let's talk, that's supposed to be March 24th.
There was 3.
The
You,
one, obviously, the reading has been just dealt with by a motion by council.
Correct.
And I believe, unless we want to change the date that we're asking for the staff stating that they're doing a check down the water. I don't think that was, we didn't even discuss that, so I don't think that was an issue, but council could be wrong, but to me, it's less thought for March 24th, 2021, not to do with it.
in its original form, yes. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I really like the Let's Talks. I'd love to do more of them. Well, maybe. I shouldn't get so excited. But I do really enjoy the getting out there, meeting with the public, and hearing their concerns and talking with them. I would be concerned during COVID about losing one, as we would be missing people. It is Zoom only. Thinking to how many people we have at these events, I definitely can think of multiple people that I think that would be a barrier. So I'd like to postpone for Let's Talk. Unless staff has this great idea, we can do it outside or something, we can have everyone there, but I'd be concerned about hosting the Let's Talk.
Okay. I do agree with you. I think we are going to miss out on a few people if we do Zoom, but I was prepared to do a Zoom meeting if council wished. It is, I'm not sure if March 24th is the right date. I think previously we have waited until after the budget was complete so we could talk about the budget and what the upcoming projects were, if there was any interest in discussing that. But I would be in support of a Zoom if council wishes. Councillor Kirkhalka.
And I kind of agree with Councilor Hogan. I just think start losing people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we don't have a whole bunch of people that show up in person. I mean, we advertise it. I know council themselves share on their own councilor pages. We offer food, we offer all that, and we get very low turnout. My concern with doing a Zoom Let's Talk is it's less and less people. So to me, if we're hoping to reach out to residents, to me it should be in person. We should wait and see what kind of restrictions we get. My concern would be the same thing. We actually can't have certain people on there because maybe they have internet not available and stuff like that. So I mean, to me, I'd be more willing to wait to try to do a Zoom. Let's Talk. My personal opinion.
Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. We're all hoping that we'll see the restrictions ease up. We're talking about the budget. Why don't we push this off until June, right? May, the budget's done. We can take another look at this late May, early June, and then we can set a date somewhere in June to be doing this.
just so we can have a little more understanding of what the COVID climate is.
I'd be in favor of that. Any other comments? Okay, so Councillor Majinski.
So if we do have a let's talk, what are going to be the key points that we're going to talk about? Probably one right now. What else are we going to add on to it? Are we going to talk about some of our capital projects? Are we going to add anything else?
I'm sure I can think of something.
The COVID impacts on the community, like what else are there? Like, we don't have much on here right now, so if we're going to give staff a go ahead on March 24th, it doesn't give us much time to even put out a notice and have everything ready in time, so definitely should put it off, but we should also have some ideas going forward. Maybe have all this council, come up with some ideas here. And even if you have a later date later in the year.
Councillor Norbury.
Remember, if we're looking for agenda topics, information to the public that the community center is open. I meet with people regularly. Not to get into a story mode, but I mean, people come in and they're asking where Joe's Pizza is. Like, they're very surprised when they find out the community center is open. So I think that we should definitely be letting people know that everything's open in the community center, with the exception of the hallways. I mean, that could be changed in June, but getting that information out, I think is important. I mean, the budget, there's a lot of stuff in the budget to get excited about.
Absolutely. Upcoming projects this summer. The seniors age in place study. Councillor Majinski.
Yeah, but and if we're gonna have a let's talk prior to budget, I don't think that went over very well last time. When people had all their own opinions, and a lot of discussion got muddied there, and we got off track, and then people had they went on their own rants, right? So I think doing it after the budget, it is good to get the public's input, but you're going to hear about the people that talk the most and the ones that show up. And there's other people that have a completely different opinion, and they're not the ones that aren't going to speak. They don't feel comfortable speaking in a public setting, and it's unfortunate sometimes when you get the bearer of bad news sometimes, and that's all you hear. And then we hear the brunt of it, and then there's other opinions that don't get heard.
Councillor Howell.
I just don't think we need to put the cart in front of the horse here. Either we're having a meeting or we're not. If we're having a meeting, then we'll discuss the topics we're going to put on it. So I think we need to make a decision if we're having a meeting during COVID or not.
Yep. So I'll make a motion that we delay our Let's Talk from March 24th until further notice. Seconder. Discussion. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I support the motion on the floor? I would like to get this back to us in June.
For sure. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Schedule of meetings. Issues there, council? Sir?
Yeah, I'm just curious for April for budget meeting. I'm assuming March 22nd is not our last budget meeting.
Yes. Ms. Thompson, what was the date that you said we'd get our final assessment?
Thank you, Member Trent. Final assessments will come out on March the 24th. They're actually out a week early. Then we can post final tax rate settings after we have the final numbers.
Thank you. Councillor Kirkowka?
We're still waiting for the other budget to come back after we had our meeting last week. With all the changes that we discussed and stuff. And I know staff had found some stuff that they wanted to bring back. I'm not saying that's coming next week. I have no idea what the plan is, but I'm concerned that we need to figure out what we want to do for meetings in April. So council can make sure that they're available or they're not here.
Yep, absolutely. Ms. Thompson, so the 22nd won't be our last budget meeting, correct? Please.
Thank you, Member Trent. So on the 22nd, we will be bringing the changes from the operating budget back. And we have information from the capital and special projects that we needed to bring back. So we have a final number for that as well. And we do have some preliminary numbers for tax rate settings based on our preliminary numbers as well. So next week, we are prepared to bring back the second draft for operational, the capital and special projects, and then information on tax rate setting.
Okay, and then for our April 6th meeting, is that when we're planning to finalize the budget then? Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I believe we had, I think we will be ready for April 6th, but it would all depend on what comes out of the meeting from the 22nd. As long as everything goes well, then we will be ready for the 6th.
Okay, thank you. Any other issues with the schedule, council? So in your opinion, Ms. Thompson, we won't need to add a meeting to this schedule for April? Depending on the 22nd, of course.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Depending on the 22nd, I feel we will be able to fit everything in at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. So we had, as we had a special budget meeting on the 8th of March, we needed to cancel the PPC meeting of March the 8th. We do have items on that agenda for PPC, if you want to schedule something for the 12th of April.
What's council's flavor? I'm of the opinion we should just combine it with the next PPC. Council Norbury?
Is it possible to combine on that PPC?
Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. We did move some items from the PPC that we had into tonight's agenda. Thank you for your patience. We do feel that we could present what we had on this agenda into the 12th of April.
Thank you. Okay, any notice of motions this evening for help?
I've got two, both kind of long-winded, so I've already spoken to staff that I'll bring them over to them, get them ordered. But the first one is that we direct staff to draft up an advertisement for distribution in 6 to 12 major papers in Canada and over our website, showcasing Tumbler Ridge as an excellent relocation area and cost options for those ads. The advertisement is to showcase the affordability of homes, condos, and land in Tumbler Ridge and the safety of the community. Affordability is to touch on the low housing prices, low residential taxes, and service offered in the community. The safety of the community is to touch on our low crime statistics, health services, first responder services, including police, ambulance, fire rescue, and search and rescue. And also, I'd like to leave it open for additional staff and counselor-driven benefit ideas of relocation. First one.
Okay, go ahead.
The second one is that we direct staff to reach out to the Barclay Project Group for an initial conversation to see if Tumbler Ridge and its renewable energy resources, biomass, wind, geothermal run-of-river, could be a fit for them to help us develop a renewable energy power generation plant or community energy system. And if favorable, we look to set up a meeting with them, staff, and council.
Okay, thank you. Notice of motions. Councilor's business? Councilor's business this evening? Okay. Ms. Thompson, any questions, sorry?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I do have one tonight. It is coming from Trent Ernst. There's a little bit of a preamble, which I will read if that's all right. Tumbler Ridge is blessed with the fact that the town was signed into existence April 9th, 1981, but had the opening party on June the 6th, 1984, which was declared a civic holiday by the council at the time. While I am all for celebrating the signing of a piece of paper, the June 6th date is far more appropriate a day to celebrate the birthday of Tumbler Ridge. Sure, it means waiting another 3 years, but maybe this whole pandemic thing will be done by then. Would council entertain having a small celebration this year, maybe a drive-through barbecue, and have a knock 'em down, blow 'em out party June 6th of 2024?
Interesting idea. I wasn't aware of that. Any thoughts, council? Councillor Howe?
To me, that's like when you're born and when you're baptized, right? So to me, it's an incorporation date. The date we're incorporated is the date that Tumbler Ridge became a community. That's 1981, I believe. So to me, I'd stick with 1981. I like that. That's when the town was incorporated. So.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you for that question. 13, resolution to close meeting. I'll move that the meeting be closed to the public in accordance with the Community Charter, Section 91C, J, and K as follows. C, labor relations or other employee relations. J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in the document would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 1, the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that, in the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Second, Councillor Perkalka, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. 10-minute recess, please.
Jeff. Who's recording? Can you record this? I won't be able to do this while
Have a great evening.
You too.
See you later.
Sure. And on the website.
Have a good evening, folks.
Tumbler Ridge.
Excellent relocation.
And cost options for ads. Yeah, so like, just that's what I want to make sure is an advertisement is to showcase the affordability of homes on the land. The safety of the community. Affordability, to touch on the low housing prices. Low residential.
Is it turned off now? It's not recording anymore. I was like, sorry. It wasn't a big deal, but. So, low housing. Sorry. Touched on.
Affordability to
low
touch
housing.
on the low housing prices.
Yeah.
Low residential taxes.
I almost pointed out that your baptism is your rebirth. So, I mean, the birth analogy isn't there.
The safety, touch on.
But, yeah, semantics. I don't remember my day, Ryan. So, do you?
Health services,
Do you celebrate
first responder
Well, sorry,
services.
remember what?
the day you were baptized?
Oh, no, not that day.
Responder services.
Oh,
And then
you've just done recently, so.
Private.
police.
Yeah, no, I was done early.
Fire.
Oh, okay, like the basic.
Service rescue.
Oh, okay.
Teenagers.
Oh, okay.
Fire rescue, ambulance.
I know some schools, they have to, they need to like prove that they know and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And you have people like myself.
Also-
newcomers.
For additional staff / counselor driven. Benefits or ideas. Relocation.
One?
One. Probably, you may.
I'm just gonna take a look at it, and if I have that back?
And hang on
Can
to
I
it.
take a picture of it?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I can make a photocopy.
Good.
Then I
Either or, yeah. whatever you
Well,
need.
it's gonna take a while for this phone call.
Whatever you
That's true. I think so, but I would like to make a photocopy because, Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I could do that, and then I'll get the heck out of here.
Curtis, we have a fire buddy.
Oh, back here, it's almost dry.
I got monkey shoulder, Talisker. You already have Balcony, right?
Did you get a lot of it, or?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, Lindsay bought that for me for my birthday. So she got, it's full, and I'll bring it out eventually. I really want to try the Talisker, so the smoky one.
You didn't try it yet?
No, I'm the beginning, get close.
So, Curtis, have you ever tried ghost pepper?
No.
Sure. Yeah, you bet. You can read it.
Yeah, I will. I can read some of the, I know,
There's-
one of my staff members writing, I think I could probably read yours. And my husband has got worse writing than you too, so
Hey, the video's still on.
that's why the types.
Ratings are insane.
I don't know
Is
what
that
I'm
burning?
You figure.
Oh, I'll bring it up.